it is about 5 o'clock as well. Live on time. Right, we need to be able to see this bit here. Okay guys, welcome back to Roberts & Co. Welcome back to London, another live jewellery making session. In the last few live streams, I think for quite a while now, I've been making, I made some gold wire and some silver wire, melted down some gold in a live stream, poured it into an ingot, also melted down some silver, poured it into an ingot. That's one I'm currently working on. So that's sterling silver, poured it, peened it, and then that's going through the rolling process. This is some 2x1mm oval wire that I've been experimenting with a process I've called dry quenching, where instead of where you anneal it, instead of air cooling it or quenching it in water or alcohol, I've been using a steel block as a heat sink to quite, not as quickly as quenching, but slightly quicker than air cooling, take the heat out of the annealed wire. And air cooling silver will work anyway. It's just whether it caused any problems, and it doesn't appear to have caused any problems with the gold or the silver doing it, but I've only done it once, so I need a bit more experimentation, but so far so good. But what I'm going to do tonight is, this is silver wire. Feels a bit coarse for some reason. I've already annealed this and then cooled it on the steel block, dry quenching it. Yeah, that doesn't. Maybe it hasn't worked. That one doesn't look too good. I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is. Some inside of that. Looks fine on the outside. Might be some oxidization from the annealing. So yeah, these look fine. So tonight I'm just going to make a couple of size J 2mm quart rings out of the wire. This, we used an oval, well, quart shape draw plate to make the wire, and now a couple of size J. So for size J I need 53mm. Let's get the YouTube copyright music going. Make some rings. 2mm quart. Some new YouTube music, which is always odd. I think it's Mexican things at the moment. I'm just going to cut the ends, saw the ends off this, then cut the two blanks. We'll solder, round them off, solder them together. We used the ring. Where's the ring? Got a ring shank, Durson ring shank former in here. We used that. Let's see how this wire pans out. The ends always seem to be, the tail end always seems to be, it almost looks cracked, but it's not. The two ends sort of get pushed together, and it is in effect, it looks like a crack, but it's more like a split from the forming process. Tail, basically. Do with these is mark them 925 for sterling silver while they're flat before I form them. I think I was using the punch earlier for something else. Let me go and get it. Yeah, it's just slightly easier to do this when they are. Where's the hammer? I saw that earlier. Here we go. Slightly easier to do this while they're flat. I also find with most of these, doing a load of light taps, as long as you keep the punch in position, doing a load of light taps generally gets me better results than giving it one smack. Get a better imprint, sort of slightly rotating it as you do it, and it seems to cause less. It's slightly easier to get it, keep it centered. Sometimes when you give it a good smack, it sort of almost smudges to one side if you get it slightly off, and seems to cause less deformation on the rear side of it. Right, let's ring shank former. It's a Durston one. It's got the plastic or Delrin dies in it. It's just mark the metal. It's marked the outside of the ring a little bit less than the. Well, they don't mark it at all, whereas the metal ones do slightly. Sort of burnish it. There is a. Plastic ones are pretty good. Boom, there we go, there's our ring blanks. Let's use flat half round pliers, round them off, solder them together. I'm going to use hard solder for these. And then we need to size them. What I'm going to do with this one, unless they're perfectly lined, run a saw blade through the joint to get it perfectly lined up. Right, what I also need to do with these is with this, when you sort of hand make white, it seems to have some sort of, I don't know what it is, oxide I guess. there's a surface layer on it that the solder just skates across. It's almost like it's been anodized. Right, it's clean and lined up. A little bit of solder. This is hard silver solder. This has actually been through the rolling mills. It's hard silver solder is really yeah, here comes the Mexican music. Look at the ring. I mean, you flux the ring out and try and solder it. I'm using something called Argotech mixed with meth. It's quite a thick flux. It's like the consistency of somewhere between milk and single cream. It helps prevent and protect against fire stain. That's why it's so thick. But it is quite a messy job using it. Tends to gum up all the tools, all the solder blocks covered in it, tweezers stick together. Next one. Right, that's actually a really close thing. I think if I run a saw blade through it, I'll probably make it worse. So we try and draw the solder through the joint, sort of bubbled up on the outside. Let's get that first one out. Clean off the excess solder on the inside, size it. Size of these are J, I was hoping for. Still a bit of flux on that joint. Let's round it off. Let's see what size we've made. There is our ring stick. Here we go. J1/2, perfect. I like to size the rings down rather than up, reducing them down, not just round. Like if you stretch them up, which you can do, and quite often have to do, it rounds them up perfectly. But compressing them down into the reduction dies, which we'll do, makes them not just perfectly round but also flat, which handmade rings are not once they're until you've stuck them in a reduction die. So I'll always reduce them down, even if they're the perfect size. I'll always use the ring sizes, not just to resize them. It will resize them, but even if say they're the perfect size, I'll still size them up so I can reduce them down. I use the ring sizer to flatten them out, really. so they don't look handmade. People want handmade rings, they don't want them to look handmade. It's like gemstones. What everybody wants, when they describe the gemstone they want, it's basically they want a lab created gemstone, you know, flawless, or like if there's multiples they want exact matching colours, perfect colour, cut, you know, clarity. Basically they want it to look lab grown, but they want it to be dug out of the ground. They want a natural gemstone that looks lab grown is what everyone wants. That's the basic description that everyone gives you. Oh, and they've only got 50p to spend on the gemstone, that's the other thing. Which means they've got to have a lab grown one. There's a big debate on it at the minute on the internet about which is the best. You know, there's like basically a fight between there's an online fight between the people flogging lab grown diamonds and the folk selling natural, and well, that's what the customers in our experience want. They want natural gemstones that look like they're lab grown. So it's going to be a tie, isn't it? Ultimately, it's going to boil down to price. My opinion on it, like, I suppose my opinion on it, I'm actually got letters after my name in it. I'm a qualified diamond graver in theory, and I would have to pull out all the gear to tell the difference. You know, they're so hard. They're getting so good. It's really hard to tell the difference. It's not impossible to do, but it's difficult. It's get, you know, to the not even to the untrained eye. It's difficult for the experienced jeweller. They're so good. It's difficult for the experienced jeweller to tell the difference. It's even challenging for experienced gemologists. They've got to pull out some kit to certify the things, but ultimately it's up to the customer. As long as the customer's aware, that's the problem is when the customer's not aware what they're buying. That's the real issue. Other than that, it's up to the customer, isn't it? If they want, if they want natural, then they should be buying that. You know, they should be getting what they're buying. You know, what they're being told they're buying. That's the thing. If the lab ones are more bling for your buck, I can see a lot of fellas shopping for engagement rings in the lab grown department. ultimately it could mean people will just end up going for it could change the game a little bit in as much as people want it could change the game if people are walking around with massive labs, just rocks on their fingers. But it could lead to people having, if they want to flex, they might have to get some slightly more interesting cuts, or not necessarily, I don't know, different coloured gemstones. So there are some interesting, right, let's juice those down. There are a lot more interesting colours than colourless. But I think we're a long way off from that. Pretty close now. These need a lot of polishing. It's important to check both sides of the ring because the rings can end up, well, not can, they do. These, both stretching them up and tapering them down, these are tapered holes, and the dies as well are tapered. So the same as the steel triplets, if you're doing it with a hammer the old-fashioned way, then you need to rotate the ring as well, the same way I'm rotating it here, to get it basically evens out the tape. Each time you do it, you are tapering it, but you then even that taper out. By flipping it over. There we go, right, there we are. What are these? 2mm, 2x1, so 50% profile. Quart shape size J. The thing about the handmade wire, as opposed to machined rings don't have the solder joint in them. So they don't have that inherent, we're using hard solder. It's rare for a solder joint to give out. I mean, you look at antique rings and most of those are still intact, but for sizing, I suppose, in the future, it's something people have got to be careful of. That is, I would say, if you're looking for pros and cons with a machined, they're made from cast tube, they're lathed, they're turned on a lathe from tubing, extruded tubing, so there is no joint. That's the benefit of a cast, or that, I suppose they do, the tubing does start out as cast, but one piece, seamless ring. But the profiles are, there's always, pretty much always, or most of them have a flat edge. Whereas with this oval wire, it is perfectly oval, so it has a rounded edge, and it maintains it the whole time. So it is it is as oval as those holes, so it has the round edge. With the machined ones, they always have a flat, which for some reason the lathes don't seem to be able to get off, and it's almost impossible to hand file it. Certainly, it's not. It would be a labour of love. And I think you probably start off with a 3mm and end up with a 2mm. So, you know, you'd have to go a half size up. So yeah, the advantage of the handmade ones is the profile's slightly true to better. It's a true to form profile. It is actually oval. It hasn't got flat edges. You could put flat edges on them if you wanted them. Just run them across a piece of emery paper, but yeah, you get a better. I think you get a slightly better form hand finished ring, but it has the seam. Boom. So there we go. They need a lot of polishing, but there is our 2x1mm sterling silver caught wedding bands. Obviously, we started out with grain, melted it down, melted the grain down, turned it into an ingot, pinged the ingot, rolled in mills, draw plates, turned the silver into wire, and then we turned the wire into wedding bands. Right, see you in the next one for more, probably more rings. Toodles.